Hey everyone, it's Christian, Vancouver Realtor, and for today's video, I want to talk to you about mental models when it comes to buying real estate and also negotiating. I want to share with you a couple of examples of what I hear a lot on the street or at open houses, and that are big mistakes that people will make. And as we go along, I'll share some example stories, and I'll fill you in on how the last 2 weeks of real estate have looked like for me on the front lines of the business. It's been a very active time. So we've actually reduced the number of videos here we do from once a week to once every 2 weeks. I'm finding it's so busy out there and I'm having trouble keeping up. Okay, so the first thing I wanted to talk about is the market. So common question I get asked is, hey, how's the market doing? Well, what market? Are we talking about townhouses in Langley? That market is insanely hot right now, very active, multiple offers, homes going for $100,000 over the asking price. Are we talking about the luxury condo market downtown, which is $1.5 million or above? That's a very different product type. That's a slower market. That's a buyer's market. That's where you can go in there and you can negotiate, maybe pull the seller off their asking price by $50,000, $75,000. Especially if it needs renovating, you could probably pull them off a lot more. So very different markets. But what I want to stress here is the question itself, I think, is the wrong question to ask. And I want to give you an example. Draw from Warren Buffett, maybe the greatest investor of the last 100 years. And Buffett and his partner Charlie Munger have something like a combined age of, I think, 193. They're old, 99 and 92, if I'm not mistaken. And so Buffett has this funny story that he likes to share. He says that, in all the years that Charlie and I have worked together, which is over 50 years, we've invested and made a lot of money. But one question we've never ever asked each other is, how's the economy? How's the market? Because it doesn't matter. What they're looking to do is the specific company. Is that specific company the right investment? What industry is it in? Is it in a growing industry or is it in a very slow growth industry? What are the margins for the company like? Is it like a Walmart where they're making 2.5%, 3% margins? Or are they making 10%? Is it a company that has a wide moat, meaning it's very difficult for a competitor to enter the marketplace to compete with them? A great example would be Coca-Cola. Buffett once said, if you gave me $100 billion to go compete with Coca-Cola, I'd give your money back to you. I wouldn't know how to compete with Coca-Cola. I can't dislodge them. They have so much mind share. It's impossible to beat Coca-Cola today in the soft drink market. So what smart companies like Red Bull do is they create a whole new market, which they call the energy drink, right? Because that's a market where they can be number one in. Anyway, getting back to the point, Buffett might look at the leadership and say, well, what kind of, do we have honest, competent management running the company? And so these are the kinds of questions they're asking. And if you were to take Buffett and Charlie Munger's model of looking at the individual company and apply it to real estate, what you would be doing is looking at that specific property as an investment. So it doesn't matter if the market's going up or the market's going down. What we really want to be asking ourselves is this specific 2-bed, 2-bath, and den condo where the seller's asking $1.1 million in Olympic Village, is this specific condo a good investment? Right? Is it priced within fair market value? Is it maybe 2 or 3%, maybe 5% below what similar condos have sold for in the past? That's the right mental model to put on when you are deciding whether or not to move forward with a specific home. So I really want you to take away from this, how's the market? Very vague, very open-ended question. Again, we need to narrow that down. Are we talking townhouses in Langley? Are we talking luxury condos downtown? Are we talking detached properties in East Van? Three different market segments. And while that's a better question, I think ultimately the best way, the best framework or mental glasses with which to examine a property is that specific property. What's the condition? What's the location? What's the asking price? And so on and so forth. And that's the approach I use. Doesn't guarantee that you won't make mistakes. I've made mistakes. I bought a condo downtown. I think I'm very much overpaid for, and did that several years ago. So we all make mistakes, but the important thing is also to learn from it too. Okay, so what I want to do is move along at this point and talk a little bit about the luxury condo market. So working with a couple, and it's just so you have a little bit better understanding right now. Anything 1.5 million and above is considered luxury. And we've been looking at a few properties, 1980s, 1990s, need some renovating. If that's the case, that property is likely to sit on the market because the downtown luxury buyer wants something ready to move in. Nobody's going to spend $1.8 million on a Cole Harbor 2-bed, 2-bath that looks like something from a magazine in 1989. That's a very hard sell for sellers still in this market. Now, interestingly, working with the same couple, we were looking at something a little bit lower priced. It came on the market at I think it was 1.05 million, 2-bedroom, 2-bath. Needed a renovation, good location in the West End, and it got an accepted offer. I think within 24 hours, gone. And they had a backup offer. And I think this, in this instance, my guys were a little bit, taken aback. They said, "Whoa, that was a bit fast. How did that happen?" Remember, that's a different market. If you're looking at 1.1s, 1.2s for 2-bedroom, 2-bathrooms downtown, that's entry level for 2 bedrooms. And buyers looking at that type of product, they're just happy with whatever they can get. And so something like that, if they're taking offers on a first come, first served basis, you want to be first in line on that type of product. It's going to go fast because, again, there's just not much out there. I think I did a search just before I jumped onto this video, and I think there was a handful of 2-bed, 2-baths downtown listed. So this is pretty much nothing, right? Lack of inventory for that. Now, what I want to do is one more, when we're talking about the market here, by the way, townhouses in the Fraser Valley, specifically Langley, Willoughby Heights area, which is very family friendly, boy, oh boy, I mean, that's an aggressive market. It just helped a couple purchase a home there. We were competing against 7 offers, and it's been like that. When I'm working with clients on the buyer's side, I'm calling listings and I'm asking the agents, even if it's already sold, because I just want to gather some more intel. And, they're telling me 8 offers, 12 offers, $100,000 over the asking price. Very, very desirable area for young families. Still, quite affordable compared to what you would get downtown. In Langley, you might get a 1,800, 2,000 square foot townhouse, double car garage. Sometimes you're facing out onto a park. And so it's if you're working from home, that might be something you may consider. Your dollar stretches and buys you a lot more space in the suburbs. And that's a very desirable area. A lot of young families, so it really works out. Now, another mental model I want to talk to you about in this video is negotiating. When it comes to negotiating, I think one mistake I sometimes see my clients make is they dig in their heels. And I try to coach them on this, but ultimately it's the client's decision what they want to do. Is don't stick too tight to a specific number. So let's say you were making an offer on a $1.35 million listed condo, and you go in at 1.25 and you say, well, at 1.25, that's it. That's all I'm going to offer. I think when it comes to a negotiation, you have to have some give and take, some back and forth. And my rule of thumb is always hit the ball back into the seller's court if you're the buyer. And in fact, if you're the seller, my client, I always say hit the ball back into the buyer's court. Never walk off the court without having made an offer. You don't want to be the party that says, no, I don't accept that, and I'm going to walk off the court. Even if it means adjusting your offer price by $5,000. I don't think you want to be left with the what ifs. Jeff Bezos of Amazon has a great term he calls regret minimization. And I think you could call it, that's what I like to call it in offers. Like, I don't want to be left with the what ifs. Hey, what if we had increased our offer by $15,000 and just left it with the seller to think about for the weekend? What if he decides to sign it? And now you've just negotiated yourself. You got the home you wanted and you negotiated $50,000 off the asking price. It can happen. So I always say hit the ball into the other person's court. Don't be the one to walk off the court with the ball, okay? And I think what we'll do is we'll touch just briefly the numbers for the Vancouver Real Estate Board of the Real Estate Board of Greater Vancouver puts out the monthly sales numbers every month, and we had April just come out recently. And what I did is, by the way, this is publicly accessible information. You can just do a Google search, Real Estate Board of Greater Vancouver monthly stats. It brings this up. It's a news release. It goes to the TV stations, the radio stations, and you can have all the numbers there. And they break down by percentage what the changes on a monthly basis. The big news here is the market is still gaining steam and fairly strong. So at some point it's going to have to taper off, because if you prorate these numbers over a year, we're looking at 25-30% gains over a year, and I don't think that's happening. I mean, it's certainly the market is swinging back from the downturn last year, but it's not going to do that for the rest of the year like this. Now, as an example, Vancouver East Side detached properties average sale price month over month from March to April up by $44,000 in April. And on the West Side has been very strong. The average price was up $95,000 in April over the month of March. So a lot of strength there. I think, again, driven by just so little supply on the market. I mean, it is really sort of supply is at critical levels right now. It's really astonishing when you think about the fact that the mortgage rates have doubled and prices are still coming back to where they were last year when the rates were sort of in the 2.5-3% range. And finally, condos. The price of condos on Vancouver's West Side, average price went up $21,000 in April over March, and on the East Side, and so that's very much the neighborhood of Joyce, Collingwood. And remember, this is including all condo types, 1, 2, 3 bedrooms. There's just a few of those, and young, new, small or old, small or large. It's including everything. On the East Side, condo sales were up by $13,000 in April over March. Okay, so just a little bit about what I'm seeing in the real estate market. I hope you found this helpful, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye now.